Come to Helmuth Ford, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Hi, this is Stacy from Shuttler Insurance Services. Come see me on the east side of the square in Sigourney for all your insurance needs.
Skunk River Radio, country music from 1990 through 2010 with some Iowa country music sprinkled in. Listen at skunkriverradio.com, download the app, listen on Alexa by saying, Alexa, play Skunk River Radio on TuneIn. Skunk River Radio will also be available on Google Assistant in the near future. You can listen to me, Steve Shuttler, each weekday morning from 6 a.m. to noon, and listen to The Haze from noon to 6 p.m. Skunk River Radio, online radio for country music from 1990 to 2010. And it is time. It's a Tuesday night here on Steve Shuttler Media, Facebook, and YouTube. Time for Tuesday Night Tune-Up. We are live from your Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch, and we do thank them for being our headline sponsor and our host venue, Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. Get in here for Kids Night and all that delicious pizza and chicken. Hey, we also thank Copeland Auto Body for being a sponsor on tonight's show. Sigourney Motors, Nutrien Ag in Keswick, Sinclair Napa, Sigourney Body Shop, Julie's Homestyle Cafe, James Family Greenhouse, and everybody else involved in the Tuesday Night Tune-Up. We take it live. Well, look who's back.
Back again.
Back again.
Marla's back.
Marla, after her big farewell last week.
I tell you what, we had tears and cries and everything last week, but she is back again here on TNT, the Tuesday Night Tune-Up. We have Marla back with us. Marla.
I can't help myself. I can't stay away. I can't stay away. Like, even when I try to walk out the doors, I'm still here. So I'm glad to be here. It is a busy night.
Pizza Ranch. The kids' night, 12 and under eat for free.
I'm very lucky.
It is a very busy night out there for you guys.
It is. They've struggled a little bit, but they're pushing through it.
Absolutely. And, Marla, we were talking a little bit off camera here, and there is something exciting and new to your guys' rewards program that you want to talk to us about a little bit. So why don't you tell us what's going on with the Pizza Ranch rewards?
Sure. So they have started a new program. If you're not a rewards member already, when you come in, you get your receipt, and then you also get a bar scan code, and you scan that, and it automatically uploads your points so that you can sign up easier that way. Also, it puts it in for a drawing for a $100 gift certificate. They'll draw 2 a week.
Holy cow, that is a lot of chicken you could eat with a $100 gift card.
You know it.
Wow.
So, you won't be hungry.
No, you would not be. You would not be at all.
Not at all.
So, no, Marla, and, again, you guys are doing a lot of things in this community, and some of the other cool things I think you guys are doing that I saw at least at the Redneck Rally the other week was you guys donated some cards for free pizza for a year that we're giving out to the fans in the stands. So just really cool what you guys are doing to really publicize with everyone and do some things for the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. So
they're awful.
They are.
You're doing a good job.
We're trying.
We are trying, and that's all you can do. It's easy. It's easy, in the background. It is. Yeah. But you're right. They are going out. They're reaching out to more people and more organizations, and they are trying to give out as many donations and charities and just help out as much as they can. So that way, we can get a new start in life. That's awesome. And, yeah, again, we want to thank you for everything you did here. Thank you for coming back on this week, and this is the official farewell now of Marla.
She'll be back next week.
She'll be back next week, folks. So
if Ashley wants to punish, I'm sure I'll be here sitting here talking to you guys. So until then.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you. We're going to let you get back out there as we see people are forming here to get into the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. So, again, thank you for everything that you do. We're going to take a quick commercial break here. We're going to let Marla get back out there, and then we're going to bring on our guest tonight, Kyle Harwood. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
When you need a break, Pizza Ranch is ready. Rough day or good day, sometimes you just need a buffet. And we've got all your favorites always ready to serve. Come to the place that puts a smile on your face. Make it a buffet day at Pizza Ranch.
Sigourney Motors is a great place for quality used cars and trucks, and most vehicles are priced under $10,000. Right now, featuring a 2000 Ford F-150 Super Crew STX 4x4, a 2014 Dodge Journey SXT, and a 2012 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited. Sigourney Motors also offers oil changes and maintenance repairs and more. Stop in and see CJ at 705 East Jackson in Sigourney. Call 641-224-8056 or email SigourneyMotors@gmail.com. At Copeland Auto Body, we strive to be the area's consistent provider of advanced collision repair. We want all of our customers to have a stress-free experience when they bring their car to Copeland Auto Body. Give them a call at 641-653-2140. Find them online at CopelandAutoBody.com. Copeland Auto Body, located in Hedrick, Copeland Collision Center in Oskaloosa, and Copeland Towing and Recovery in Sigourney. For auto body and towing for Hedrick, Oskaloosa, and Sigourney, see Copeland Auto Body.
At Nutrien Ag Solutions, we are dedicated to your success. We partner with growers like you to expand your possibilities with unparalleled offerings. Your unique challenges are met with more customized solutions than anyone else can offer. With you, we're feeding the future together.
Hey, we thank all of our sponsors for being on board here on TNT, the Tuesday night tune-up. We are live from your Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. Once again, let's go through our list of sponsors. That includes Hosky Pizza Ranch, Sigourney Motors, also Copeland Auto Body, Nutrien Ag Solutions in Keswick, Sinclair Napa, Sigourney Body Shop, Julie's Homestyle Cafe, and James Family Greenhouse. All right, we've got a whole host of folks on screen right now. Our regular host is Saif Grafke. Look at that. We got Curtis VanderWahl hanging out with us tonight, too. Hey. And then also our guest for this evening, Mr. Kyle Harwood. I'm going to give up my mic to Curtis, so Saif, take it away.
All right. Race fans, here we go. Your interview of the night on TNT, the Tuesday night tune-up. This driver hails from New Sharon, Iowa, driving the number 15K, Kyle Harwood. Kyle, thanks for coming on and talking with us tonight.
Dang. That was a great introduction. Oh, my word.
Is that better than what you get at the racetrack on a Wednesday night?
Ready to run through a wall now, man. Remember the Titan? Like, is Denzel Washington somewhere in the other room? What's happening?
No, there's chicken over there, though. Neil had to go get a piece off camera.
There was almost a brawl.
There was. I swear that I saw some young kid get picked up and moved away from the chicken there.
That's right.
Wow.
They had to be separated.
They did have to get separated.
Like,
yeah.
It is good. It is good. It's a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Kyle, we're
on.
Wow,
that was great.
Should we do it again?
No, I think we're good, but it loses.
Yeah, it would. So anyway, Kyle, thanks for coming on tonight.
No problem.
It's always great to have you on the show here, and you've had a stellar start to your season here.
Not bad.
In the 15K. You guys have had some good success here at the Southern Iowa Speedway. Last week, had a little bit of a tricky start, and luckily a late race caution came in. You guys got back around the 29 of Colton Lizzie there, and you guys were able to pull off a victory. Why don't you kind of talk us through a little bit of everything that happened last week?
Yeah, so I guess we could tee that up. Shout out to Will Wolf. I think he's paying attention tonight. So
good job, Will.
So
first time for everything.
Good job, Will. So Curtis, you missed out last week.
Oh yeah,
you missed out.
Otherwise, we'd be like 25% of the Oski field right here at this table.
Yeah,
that's
but
true.
It was kind of a weird deal. If you're out there racing or paying attention, we have little receivers where the flag guy talks to us, but we can't talk back to them. And
probably a good thing sometimes.
Which is fine, yeah. And at Oskaloosa, if you look in turn 4, they've got several tires, and then there's a cone in one, and you're supposed to take the green roughly around that cone area.
Yeah.
He always says wait for the cone, but normally people kind of take off somewhere by the cone. Well, Will, who's paying attention, so I'm not throwing him under the bus, because I was starting behind him, and then it was Tony Johnson, the 8T, and then Colton was beside me. So that was the front. Those were the first two rows, and on the receiver they kept saying, "Wait till the cone, side by side to the cone, wait to the cone, wait to the cone." You know, they're talking to you in your ear. So we're waiting to go green, and the outside line just takes off, and Will's on the pole, and he's technically supposed to start the race. Well, when the outside line took off, I'm still behind Will. Next thing I know, whoever's behind me, I can't remember, is now pushing me into Will. So I hit Will. Will, at that point, then takes off. I try to grab the gas, but now I'm almost in the infield at this point. And I kind of half get on the gas, half I'm trying to look towards the flagman and the lights in turn one because
thinking there's no way this is going to be a green flag deal, right? They're going to throw the yellow.
This is the ugliest start I remember in the last couple years, and it stays green. So we grab the gas, and Will and I are now, I don't even know what position I was in. So we take off, and we're 3 wide on the front stretch, and I'm roughly in 5th-ish place at this point. And Colton and Tony take off. Good for them. Colton passes Tony, and then Will and Tony and
not good for you.
Jason was racing, and we all raced each other for 5 laps or so. And then Will and Tony had a really nice side-by-side battle for, I think, 3 laps because I was waiting for a lane to open because our car was handling really well, and I was going to get around them, but you can't run 3 wide usually. No. That's just a bad idea.
Usually,
not highly recommended.
Not recommended. No,
not there anyway. So Will got clear of Tony, passed Tony. Then I got clear of Will. Well, by the time those 5 or 6 laps went by, Colton was running qualifying laps out there, and the track was similar to when you were there the week before. It was very, very fast.
A definite bummer.
It was that's a good way to describe it.
It's hard when you're that far back to catch up to someone with not a lot of laps left.
Yeah, definitely a bummer to try to run them down.
So
on that track.
I'm way behind more than a straightaway, and at this point, I'm like, well, I'm going to start clicking off some laps, feel the car out, but there's not enough time or distance to cover to catch Colton. That's not going to happen.
You're not going to catch him at this point. Yeah.
So I'm clicking laps off, and we take the white flag, and I've closed the gap because I think Colton was having some distributor issues. I could tell it was smoking or something was going on, but I was taking chunks out of the lead, like 1 car length or 2 car lengths every corner. So I could tell I was catching him, but there still wasn't enough time. Well, we take the white flag, head through 1 and 2. I'm like 7 car lengths or 6 or 7 car lengths behind him down the backstretch. We actually go into getting ready to go into turn 3. Boom, the caution comes out. I don't know the story because I never went over and talked to him, but the 3Z, Jason, somehow got turned around in 3 and 4. I don't know how it happened. Didn't ask any questions, but the caution came out.
So is the 3Z going to get a Christmas card?
Well, I talked to his wife, Brandy. I talked to his wife, Brandy, and his daughter, and they're like, I think you owe us one. I'm like, yeah, I do probably owe you some sort of, like, I need to go buy you a bag of popcorn at the concession stand.
Bring him to Pizza Ranch.
There you go. So anyway, shout out to the 3Z for helping me with that deal. So then, as with any kind of Delaware double file or whatever you want to call it, Colton led the whole thing, and I saw him running kind of a different line than what I was running. So I chose the outside, actually, which normally you don't want to do at Oski a lot of times, especially if you're in the lead, because a lot of times if you can run the middle or bottom, it's really hard to pass on the outside. So if I was him and I didn't know the outside lane had some traction, I would have done the same thing in his shoes. But we took off, and I think he was having maybe some engine problems or something, but we got a really good start to the point where I got the front of my car to about his passenger door getting into 1, and I chose the top side and never had to lift, and he chose the middle bottom, and I was able to hook it and carry the momentum and pass him coming out of 2. And then at that point, I had the lead getting into 3 and 4, and then took the white flag, and it was kind of over at that point. So it was exciting. The stock car feature was also very exciting. I was watching it from the staging area. There were like
the
3,
hobby
4
stock
wide.
Feature was going to be exciting too until Dustin blew up there.
That was a grenade deal there.
He came into 1, and all of a sudden it looked like a scene out of Cheech and Chong.
Yeah, it was bad. It was
up in smoke, huh?
Up in smoke.
I didn't talk to Dustin, but it
Completely up
didn't
in
look
smoke.
good.
No.
So
that's never a good.
It was not good.
No.
It was not a good day to be the 10G.
Yeah, so we've had 4 seconds at Oski now and 1 win. So not bad.
Not bad.
We won at Eldon once, and then we had the night Curtis won at Eldon. We didn't finish. We unfortunately the tractor tire beat both Colton and I that night. Otherwise, we might have had some fun.
The infield tractor tire wins every time you try to go against it. It
literally undefeated.
Literally undefeated. Like Mother Nature.
That's right.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yep.
Infield tractor tire versus Mother Nature.
It's a draw.
That could be a good
tractor tire still wins.
It'd be a draw.
I think the river could flood that track, and when it receded, the tractor tires would still be there.
You might be right.
I think you might be right on that one.
Yeah.
I don't think you're wrong.
So anyway, the car's been handling great. We got our engine refreshed by John up at Mid-States, and he does a good job. So just getting the car to drive better, it's kind of hard to explain, I guess, but I guess, Curtis, you have kind of a similar chassis, but a lot of times those cars like to run so low in the front, their frames bottom out a little bit. And it's kind of a fine line. If you raise them up enough to where the frames don't bottom out, then they're not as fast. So I've kind of compromised a little bit to where the frame now isn't hitting the track, and have worked on the back end to make it turn. So it's really drivable now, is the biggest difference.
So I feel like this could be a nice little thing to talk to both of you guys about, and it's been definitely something that has been popping up a lot, and there's more and more of this, and we did see this with the 29 car of Colton Lizzie, is the change in chassis to a Vanderbilt. He is going through right now and is buying up a lot of modifieds that are for sale. They're getting converted to B mods, and it's hard to argue that the Vanderbilt cars right now are having success in sport mods, but again, we're seeing these performer chassis as well perform very well on the tracks as well. Are these the two right now kind of the top tier chassis that we're seeing right now, do you guys feel, in the Midwest? Is the performers and the Vanderbilts, or?
I mean, my Rage seems to be working all right, but it's really service. Service comes down to me, like.
Right. Yeah, right. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know that the chassis may be as important as the support that comes with it, right?
Yeah.
So if you've got a really good group behind you, which the Vanderbeeks are. I mean, let's just not kid that. Don't kid anybody. They have operated at a very high level for a very long time, and you add in all of Tim Plummer's knowledge there. You've got JD doing the fab stuff. You've got Randy, Schroeder doing a lot of stuff there. Yeah. Tripp's doing a lot of stuff there. It's just an unbelievably good group, that's involved there, and they're very smart. Then you add on top of that the manufacturing capabilities, the way that they build their chassis, for ultimate consistency, the way they do their interiors and their bodies for ultimate consistency. That's a recipe for success. It doesn't matter how you slice it or what names on the chassis, and then you throw in the years and years of knowledge, and it's going to add up. Now, for us, we have a similar thing. Rage is a good chassis. I know that's what Kyle runs. I know that's what Colton used to run, and we both work pretty close with the Eckridges at Precision Performance. Now they do make their own chassis, but they kind of really were the ones to develop the Rage stuff when that was the chassis to have. So to answer your question, I don't know that there's necessarily you have to have this or you don't have any chance. With as well as Colton's been running since he got his new car, and the way that Speedy Bray runs in the Vanderbilt stuff, sometimes it maybe feels like that, especially to us guys that don't have that. But it's quite frankly up to us to make our stuff better. And that's sometimes in doing that you take a few steps back, and sometimes you maybe find something that works.
Yeah, so that's one thing I want to talk about too, is the support you're getting from builders right now and stuff. I feel like we're in such a spot in our sport where there is so much I'm going to keep beating on this. There's so much technology. There's so much R&D and stuff like that. How important is for you guys to go back to, Andy or Rage or whatever, and you giving them information and whatnot to get set up for success each week, or notes in your books to go back and then look at stuff? I mean, how important is that right now?
Well, I think having somebody that you can work with is really important. Somebody that can kind of help you figure out exactly what you need, because what I need is going to be different than what Kyle needs, and that's different than what somebody else needs. So at the end of the day, having that relationship with that people or person is probably most important. But as far as technology goes, you're exactly right. Technology has really come to the point where it's not the class where you take an old modified and you put a crate engine or a 9-to-1 engine in it, and you go, simplify the suspension and you go race it. There's a lot of cars that are 100% purpose built to be sport mods, and on one hand, there's a lot of people that say, "Oh, that's not what a sport mod's supposed to be. That's what it was never designed to be." But on the other hand, how the heck do you control that? I don't have the answer.
It's out of the box now.
Yeah, right. You're not going to put the genie back in the bottle.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. What I give Andy a lot of props, right? They got the Performer brand going, but he started with the Rage thing, like you mentioned, and he is still nice enough to send a text back, or if I need a shock help or something, he will still help, because I was a customer of his before he kind of started that, but he's good enough that he'll still lend me a hand. But just understanding a little feel, I'm still learning, and I don't have near as many races under my belt as Curtis does. But one thing I'll just ask Andy, hey, if it feels this way and I wanted to try to do this, what are some options? And then he could kind of lead me in that path. But what I try not to do is change too many things all the time. I'll maybe make some sort of change, and I've always run 2 or 3 nights just to see what it does, and then I'll write it down. And then maybe I'll make another change and then see what that actually feels like, and then I write it down. So it's taken me now, so I've got 7 nights now this year, so 47 nights in a sport mod. So it's taken me 47 nights to try to figure out what I'm kind of there now. I now feel the car's pretty good, how it's driving, when it's tight, it's not like driving an old A mod or the old stock car. When you turn the wheel, it when it pushes, it's not as quick to react. So I've gotten that feel, but since I only raced 15 or 17 nights, I always lean on the guys that did it forever. Colton was always good to me on what's going on, Carter Vandenberg, Caden Carter, all those, all them guys, even Matt DeYoung, all the guys we pit next with, they hey, if this car's doing this, or what do you think is going to happen with this, what would you do and why? I just really kind of want to know the why, because if they tell me why it fixes that, then I can apply that logic to the car. Because I'm not a super genius when it comes to this, right? But when you use good parts and you apply logic and you try to make it work, then you just have to go drive it and see what happens.
Well, and that's a good point, because talking about you have a good group at the track and stuff, there's always been the Oski Posse, the group of guys from Oskaloosa. So you guys are you guys like the North Mahaska Nightmares or something? I mean,
that's Bill. Isn't Bill Baylog the North Pole Nightmare?
Yeah, but are you guys the North Mahaska Nightmares?
I'm not sure what that would be.
North Mahaska Ninjas.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. The North
Mahaska Ninjas.
Now, if you can mentally picture all of us,
I'm trying to, and I don't know if that's really ninja-y.
Yeah.
So then how?
Could you see Zach Vanderbeek in a black belt?
Him, maybe.
Yeah.
He could pull it off.
Yeah, he could.
So that's the thing. I mean, you guys and New Sharon have a really cool bond where you guys pit next to each other, help each other out, but the knowledge base that is in New Sharon is hard, because you have Vanderbeek, you have Carter Vandenberg, you have Colton, you have
Caden Carter, yeah.
Caden Carter.
Yeah.
So you have guys that have won the Super Nationals. They've been on the USMTS tour. You have those guys. So how much fun is it for you then off the racetrack, being able to kind of work with those guys, hang out with them and stuff, and then go to the track on Wednesday nights or Friday nights or Saturday nights and be with that group?
Yeah, well, it's just a lot of fun because a lot of us are kind of in the same group. I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old. We all have younger kids. We like to golf. Can you imagine a bunch of racers out golfing? Because that does happen.
Absolutely.
I'm not terrible at golf. I'm not great at. Nobody's great at golf, but I love to golf. That's
I don't know.
really
You
fun.
should see Kyle Larson golf.
I've never seen him golf.
He is very good at golf.
Really?
He goes to Pennsylvania a lot of times and goes golfing with Lance DeWeese.
Okay.
They are very close and they golf a lot.
Yeah. And the boys are getting into golf too, so it's fun doing dinners and that's what the the racing community is kind of all about, right? Like you kind of build relationships and friendships with the family. We try to make it family oriented. We're not gonna go over and yell or cause a ruckus in people's pits. We don't want to have any of that. We want it to be something inviting for the kids to do and enjoy. Because if racing's going to continue, we need to
get the next generation.
We need to keep people interested in it, or it's not going to be around anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, at this exact time, there is a very large sprint car race going on, and I know Kyle, you get into some of this stuff. And at Eagle Raceway, the High Limit Series is running for $55,555.
Yeah.
Nice round number.
Yeah. Nice round number. And second is something ridiculous like that. And
$87.
$87.
No, I think is it like 33,000?
That would be good. That would be good.
Really, it's like some ridiculous payouts.
As long as it's not like 12 for
No,
second,
it's not $12. No.
Come on, guys.
No, it's a lot of money. So
that's like a go-kart payout. $10,000 to win, $45 for second.
Third place gets towed.
Nothing for third. Nothing for third.
Yeah, nothing.
Not even a participation ribbon.
Don't even get to keep your pit pass ribbon. So.
That's right. You got to give that back off your race. Here, we're going to reuse that.
No, so that's going on right now, and there's a lot of great cars there. David Gravel is not there, though.
I haven't checked on times or anything yet, but was it at 141? Where were they at when Larson had an axle tube break getting into one behind Rico in the main, and he went for a pretty good ride?
That was at, I'm pretty sure that was at 141.
Yeah, that was just last week.
Could have been.
It was, yeah.
Whew.
So without, David Gravel isn't there, which is kind of a big surprise. That's a big storyline for later.
Tell everyone why, because the Outlaws are not running.
No, but Giovanni Selzy's there.
Yeah, but
there's only so many races,
what I'm
right?
saying is why is it weird that he's not there?
Well,
right?
yes, there's a whole application process. You can only go so many out. It's kind of a nightmare. It's shocking though that there's some other outlaw guys there.
Yeah, but the big thing is he could be there and is not.
Right.
Now is that because he's got family obligations? Is it because
we don't know.
He didn't run especially good last time? When he went to Port Royal for the Weichert. It could be a million things. It's interesting nonetheless, though, that he's not there when he could be.
Right, and we'll talk on that later. Yep. But I think the big thing is there's 43 fantastic cars there. And Kyle, I don't know.
It's a one-night show, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just tonight.
Was it last night? No.
I don't know.
Sorry. Yes, it's only tonight. So, looking at who's there and everything, you have Aaron Reitzel. Kyle
coming
Larson,
off a big
Casey
win
Kane,
at the
Brad Sweet. Yeah, you have a lot of great cars there. If you had to pick one, who would you pick to win this?
I'd have to look at the entry list, but in my mind, Rico has been running really good lately. He's been strong this year, especially on those type. Eagle usually is rough. Even if you watch those late model, that track gets rough. It's fast. It's arms up. You gotta. I don't know. It's got to be Rico or Larson or one of those high limit guys. I'm going to think is taking the money. Even Sweet needs to pull off a big win. He could be tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, if I had to bet, I'd probably put money on, like Kyle said, I'd probably go Rico or Aaron Reitzel.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've seen Kyle Larson do so many amazing things in race cars of every type. Mm-hmm. So how would you bet against him?
It's hard not to.
Yeah,
it is very hard. So
but the big high limit show like this, just trying to think logistically, because I think the Cup guys, they need to report to Mexico by Friday, don't they? So they'd have to get it done here in the next day or two, so they could head south to Mexico City for this weekend.
That's only 3-hour flight. It's no big deal.
Yeah. Right.
On a private jet.
Yeah,
waiting,
the way those guys travel,
waiting very close
the
by.
world is very small. So
that'll be interesting.
What do you think about that? Going to Mexico City, the Cup Series going.
It was interesting planning on NASCAR's part. Let's race as close to Canada as we literally can, except for Watkins Glen.
Yeah.
And then let's go to Mexico the next week.
Yeah.
So,
Viva Mexico, right?
Yeah,
I mean, seriously, this is ridiculous to me. I think it's getting ridiculous.
What was interesting is they brought the other haulers there.
Oh, yeah, they couldn't
to
go
load
back to
up
Charlotte and make it to Mexico.
No, they couldn't do it.
So they had to bring other cars there to go straight from,
To me, I think this is getting quite ridiculous.
I was listening.
I mean, it's great. They're doing the whole international thing, and NFL is trying to do the same thing. That's kind of ridiculous, too, to an aspect.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. It's
when there's a lot of racetracks in the U.S. that probably
would
put on a really good show. I
Yeah.
understand NASCARs want to be international.
Because they have a Mexico series already.
Right. The problem for me is like, let's fix the race car before we, let's just continue to make questionable decision after questionable decision.
Is that what it's always been?
I heard there's a potential to get to 750 horse to give him more power, but I don't think that fixes the whole car.
No,
that's going to fix
not.
all the parts that just break randomly.
They need to wear the tires out.
Yeah, that's just it. They need to have softer tires. They need to have, quite frankly, smaller wheels. They need to not have the sequential gearbox. They need to have, solid rear axles. They need to not be, they need to scrap the entire race car and just literally run the Xfinity cars.
Xfinity car is great
because
to watch.
they are unbelievable to watch.
Then how about this on the truck side? Dodge coming back. Well, Ram.
Potentially.
Sorry. Yeah. Potentially coming back.
Yeah.
They
announced videos.
They announced
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
okay.
They did a whole unveiling with this truck.
Yeah,
and
that's
kind of
cool.
looks ridiculous in the front end with the big Ram. Anyway.
Well, Denny,
it's good, though. They're coming back. I just think the front end looks horribly ugly.
Well, that's everybody's personal taste. I like to listen to Denny's Actions Detrimental podcast, and he explained it really well on why they did the truck series, because the truck series almost has a crate motor. They all have to run the same engine, so if you're Ram or Fiat or whoever, you don't have to develop an engine program. You basically just need to hang a body
platform at that point, right?
Yeah, barrier to entry to that is getting your feet wet. You build a body, you're in the truck series.
And then they talked about Cletus McFarland possibly running for them. That could be a whole interesting.
That could be a thing.
That could be a thing. He's not bad.
Well, he also has a lot of viewers.
Watch him wreck the field last weekend.
Well, that.
I didn't know he raced again.
Yeah,
he did.
So I didn't know that.
I mean, anybody with that level of experience at running at that level,
the third race of his life,
could absolutely have done the same thing. That's not anything necessarily to him. He does bring a ton of press, right? And he's kind of on that forefront of YouTube and the social media and all that stuff. So it's amazing to see that. The flip side of it is, he also, he still needs to gain a ton of experience, Quite frankly, both of us sitting here have significantly more racing experience than he does. Now, that doesn't mean that we could do any better necessarily. Well, I would.
I don't know. You did. I'd like to think
I'd like to think I was pretty all right at that. But still, back to it. He's going to learn some, and maybe he spends the rest of this year and continues to get better.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the first 18 years of my life, I literally thought ARCA stood for amateur racers that crash a lot. I literally thought that's what it stood for.
Can we get that changed? Can we put a petition together for that? Because that would be great.
There's a lot of times especially the super speedways, where there's some very questionable stuff there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right about the Cup car though. There's a lot of drag. So like Michigan this past week, they get behind each other. They can draft because it has so much drag on it. They can get the runs, but then they pull out to pass, and whoosh, it just slows it way down.
It got bad.
They can't pass.
And you saw they'd get door to door, and it'd be. It was a very interesting Michigan race.
Yeah.
Not interesting at all.
I was going to say. It was still a fuel mileage.
I'm talking about how we start looking at how the cars handle when they're side by side, which did happen a little bit, not a lot, but when it did, it's like, they're going to crash, they're going to keep it together, what's going to happen? And then that's the other crazy thing, though, was looking at, you know what, I kind of like how Prime does that. I thought Prime did a better job with some of the showings of what's going on. In my own personal,
like the data and the
the data was great.
telemetry.
They had really good data, and it was cool to see, Carson Hocevar's fuel mileage at one point was down to 4.4, but then you have Kyle Larson, who was running third at the time. He was at like 5.8 or something. So it was just really cool to see some of that, to know what's going on.
It's
cool.
It's wild
really
to
cool.
know that data exists.
And then it's like the teams all know it too, because they're like, each team can see what's going on with each other's fuel mileage right now. So then it's like, well, that's kind of interesting then too, because it's like, who's going to make it on fuel, who's not going to make it. Larson and them thought the first Hocevar and who was in second? Byron were going to run out of fuel, and then they didn't, and then Hamlin and all them showed up, and then Hocevar had a flat tire.
At least it got interesting at the end.
It got interesting when it mattered, which was the end.
And if you're a casual fan, if I was gonna have somebody come watch that race with me that didn't know anything about racing, you're watching the on-track product. But what it came down to, Hocevar knew he couldn't stay out because they were like, well, you needed this many seconds of fuel, but we only gave you that minus 0.4 seconds. So the 0.4 seconds, you're not going to make it, otherwise you weren't going to win. It's like that's what we're talking about,
right? And
you couldn't get the extra 0.4 seconds of fuel. How do you explain that to somebody that's just clicking it on hey, I want to watch it. Why is that guy got a pit now? There's only 4 laps left. Well, he was 0.4 seconds of fuel less, but if he would have taken the extra 0.4, he was going to be in 12th.
Yeah.
That's isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
To explain to somebody that doesn't know.
But unfortunately, that also explains, why did they take that chance? Because they knew if they took that and they were 12th, they had absolutely no shot at all, because you can't pass with this car.
And same with Byron. I mean, he knew that he really needed to keep Hamlin ahead, and they're like, you're gonna run out of fuel, but we want you to stay out there and at least.
Well, once Hamlin got by him, he was not going to pass him because you couldn't waste the fuel to try to get by him. Couldn't do it.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, that's the bummer. But honestly, Michigan's been fuel mileage racing for
most of our lives.
Thankfully, Alex Bowman's for the most part all right.
That was a big
wreck. That was a big wreck. That was a big wreck.
That was a bad one, but
that was a lot of speed.
Yeah. When they red flag something and they don't want you to drive by the crash site, that got to make you nervous if you're sitting in that car, right?
Yeah.
Especially on a car owner perspective, or other drivers from the Hendrick camp being like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Is he okay?
Yeah. Thankfully he was. So that's good.
But no, so just NASCAR is interesting. Again, going to Mexico here. High limits racing tonight. Yep. We have a lot of different things going on, and tomorrow night is supposed to be the bike giveaway night at the Southern Iowa Speedway.
Hey, I got one ready to donate. I went and bought one. It's fluorescent orange, so it kind of matches the car. Ooh. Got it stickered up with 15K stickers, and if whoever wins that one, I'm going to give them a free T-shirt too. So whoever wins that bike, win the bike.
Come see
me in the pits. I'll hook you up with a
there
shirt.
You go.
So it looks good. We got it lettered up, so it'll be ready to go.
Did your dad help you with that?
No.
You didn't have Roy out there doing that? You should.
No. We're gonna attempt to try to go to Eldon on Thursday because Oski's Wednesday, then Eldon's Thursday this week.
That's a busy back-to-back.
I don't know if we're gonna bite off more we can chew, but we're gonna try. But we got to get the generator fixed. So Roy's job is to try to get the generator running for Eldon.
There you go, Roy. If you're watching, you need to go work on the generator.
He knows. We got a carburetor problem, but we'll see.
Oh, boy.
If not, we're going to have to go tap into their light pole or something to get
You'll
some power.
Figure it out. Yeah. You'll make it work. No, but, it takes a lot to keep these cars going on the track, especially when you're going to do back-to-back nights like that. I know you have your amazing wife and kids here with us tonight. Yep. You have one of your helpers here, Nathan. I just saw him scarf down a whole plate of the cheese bread.
And before that, it was an entire chicken, wasn't it?
Wow.
It was. Yeah. I think they could have made a whole chicken out of everything.
They just brought the whole tray in here.
They did. It was the most crazy thing. Off camera, they brought him a whole tray.
Take back
it was
what
impressive.
You don't take.
I mean, as a big guy, it was still impressive.
He's
not a big
very
guy.
Impressive.
So.
No, he is not. No, but so again, your wife and kids
Dutch
are here.
skills right there.
Dutch skills. Gotta get the most out of that tray. So you got Nathan here with you, and you got some other people too that help you on the car that I know you want.
Oh, for sure.
You want to thank. You got some great sponsors as well.
Yeah, great sponsors and great friends. So you're kind of picking on Nathan.
I always do.
So,
it's okay.
So starting with Nathan and Brandon Vanzani are Black Oak Pumping. When you see that on the side of the car, custom manure hauling and spraying and taking care of that. Then NV2 on the very front of the car. That's also Nathan.
Holy cow!
Yep.
Man.
I know. He's a great guy to know and a great guy to have on your crew.
Yeah.
Semi-livestock hauling business. Scott's Pest Controls, Mahaska County, local pest control business to take care of all those needs, because I know those gnats are terrible this year.
They are bad.
Thankfully, he's our sponsor because we can spray and take care of all that at our house, because I do not like bugs. So Austin Vanderlinden out of Lighton, so again, Mahaska County, Vanderlinden Services, air conditioning, heating, plumbing. You call Vanderlinden Service, you actually talk to him. So it's another local company. Pella Glass, for commercial glass, residential glass, you break something, you give Dave and his wife Ashley on that business. So yeah, Austin and Katie, Vanderlinden and Lighton. Pella Glass, Midstate Machine helps us out with the engine. We already talked about Andy and Precision Performance, and then Arnold Motor Supply and Oskaloosa and Pella help us out too with parts and pieces and lubricants. So I don't believe I'm missing anybody. I think I got everybody. Sometimes I miss some, but no, the fun thing is they're good sponsors, but they're also really good friends. So that's what makes it fun. They enjoy when people call in and say, "Hey, we heard Kyle and saw this. Like, what's this, and this?" So it's awesome. Fun listening to those guys say, "Yeah, you must." Apparently, somebody's paying attention to you, because they are calling us saying that they saw the car in the track or whatever. So that's really fun. But yeah, hopefully you'll see us Wednesday. If you have your kids, because I think there's inflatables at 5:30 to 7, I think, and then there's always a ton of bikes that they give away. At least I think it is. There's like 20 or 30.
I mean, Joel Tater Davis even brought a bike.
Oh my! Did he make it himself?
No.
Oh, okay.
He bought it.
Okay.
He's bought it.
So there's 20 or 30 bikes. If people don't know racing and they have kids, this is a great night to bring them out. So. Anyway, I know we have a bunch of friends coming that have never been to the races, so hopefully we'll do good tomorrow. Are we going to make it? Is everybody okay?
Off camera.
There was no chicken harmed in the making of this.
I tell you what, no, there wasn't. They're just, we have a lot of fun here, Kyle. You're going to have to come back again.
That's great. So,
look at this.
Are you going to be there tomorrow?
That's the hope. Yeah, that's the hope. So
sounds good.
Oh boy, you got more competition.
That's great. We need it. They made some rule changes in the sport mods. Curtis was there that night. I totally agree with the rule. For those that don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, why don't you explain here real quick?
At the beginning of the year, they don't call it sport mod. I think they actually call it a B modified class. But I think there was some USRA interest at the beginning of the year, and to kind of get those cars to come, we have a digital RPM box where we can turn these knobs, and that's what limits your engine for RPMs, both crate and open engines. So IMCA rules is 6,600 for an open engine and 6,200 for a crate. Well, the USRA cars are 7,000. So at the beginning of the year, the USRA guys wanted to maintain that 7,000. And if you go to a USRA track, a lot of times you run 6,800 as an IMCA car. So they moved the RPMs up to 6,800 and 7,000 for an open engine, leaving the crate still at 6,200, which...
That's a big difference.
It's a huge difference.
800 RPM might not...
200, which is almost a gear.
Not,
it's almost a gear, really. But
might not sound like a lot, but it is a big difference.
It's several tenths of a second, but... Oskaloosa with a crate is very difficult to begin with because of the RPM and really just where the engine builders have gotten the open engines, really. So smaller tracks, I'm sure the crates work fine, but for the bigger tracks, an open engine it seems to be maybe preferred. So if I was a crate person, it'd be kind of hard to justify maybe coming on a Wednesday night to come race against the other open engines. So they made the rule change. For us, they put it back to 6,600. It tightened the gap a little bit. It definitely made the cars a little bit closer. Like I said on that start, we had that crazy start.
Yeah.
Those other 200 like the couple previous weeks before that extra 200 RPMs, you really could get around guys quicker that had the crates. That's just the way it was. It took to make sure the car was handling right. You had to run the correct line and to be able to get around it. But once you got clear, then you still were able to pace them. But the thing that really is hard on the crates, though, just like Curtis talked about it earlier, when the track is that fast and you do not have to lift, then the crates are at a big disadvantage. If you have to lift and the track is slick, then the bigger spoiler could help and the lower horsepower will help. But unless the track is like that, then I think it was the right rule change to try to get more cars there because it would be more competitive if the track slows down. I don't know if I summarized that up good.
Yeah,
enough.
no, I think you're spot on. I agree 100%. I obviously we'll run whatever RPM limit, but I think that the 6600, just being full IMCA rules, I think that makes sense. And then if some USRA cars do actually show up, then they can adjust accordingly. Because they have a quick change, so they can change a gear pretty quick and can adjust their box pretty quick. So I think the fair board's spot on with that. So.
Yeah. You got it. Especially if you're an IMCA person running somewhere else and you want to come try it, like you got to at least want to feel like you're on the same playing field. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And at the end of the day, let's face it, that's what we want, right? Yeah. We want more people to come.
We do
run and experience, experience the awesomeness that is the Southern Iowa Speedway.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back with some racing news and some other things going on in the racing world here for our last segment in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Got a problem under the hood? At Sinclair Napa, we're here to help. No matter if you're tuning up the family car, gearing up your heavy-duty truck, or maintaining your boat, we have the know-how you need to keep your ride running strong. Whether it's top-notch parts, expert advice, or unbeatable customer service, Sinclair Napa is your one-stop shop for all your automotive needs. Because at Sinclair Napa, we don't just sell parts, we're here to help you get the job done. Stop by today in Sigourney, Montezuma, Williamsburg, Centerville, or Ottumwa, or visit us at sinclairnapa.com. If you've had a run-in with a deer, a fender bender, or any sort of accident with your vehicle, take it to Tony and the guys at Sigourney Body Shop at 210 West Clark Street in Sigourney. They'll get you back on the road in no time, and Tony will help you out with a free estimate. It's service with a smile at Sigourney Body Shop. Give them a call at 641-622-2022, or again, stop in at 210 West Clark Street in Sigourney. Julie's Homestyle Cafe at 216 South Market in Oskaloosa is a small place with a great big taste of home cooking. Established in 2009, Julie's Homestyle Cafe serves breakfast, lunch. You can have a slice of pie, dessert, and soft drinks. Julie's Homestyle Cafe is a veteran-owned cafe serving traditional breakfast and homemade lunch meals just like Mom used to make. Find more information at julieshomestylcafe.com or follow their page on Facebook. Stop by James Family Greenhouse and Produce in Sigourney. They have a variety of hanging baskets, annuals, shrubs, perennials, trees, mulch, and vegetable plants. Plus, you can spruce up your landscape with yard decor or decorate the inside of your home with home decor. James Family Greenhouse is also a great place to stop in for some gift ideas. You gotta stop in and see it all for yourself. James Family Greenhouse at 701 East Jackson in Sigourney. And be sure to follow their page on Facebook. All
right, welcome back, race fans, to TNT, the Tuesday Night Tune-Up. We have Curtis with us, and we have Kyle up here with us. And, guys, we're going to talk a little bit about arguably one of the biggest races that happens each and every year in the U.S. Certainly, I would say the biggest one for sure. If you are a dirt late model racer or fan of anything with dirt late models, they went out to this really cool track out in Ohio called Eldora Speedway, and man, was it a dream.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Wednesday or was it reality?
Well, maybe both. Wednesday started off with the Flo Castrol Racing Night in America.
Yep.
That was a interesting show. Bobby Pierce obviously won that. And then that led nicely into the Thursday, Friday, Saturday portion of the dream. So
Yeah, and Bobby Pierce has been arguably for the last few years now one of the toughest dirt late model drivers to beat. He had a spectacular looking throwback car to his father, and I think he honored Bob very, very well. That car from fit to finish was, I would say, one of his best looking cars that he has had in quite a while.
Yeah, I think it was very well received, and kudos to those guys, because I think it was carried out really well. I can only imagine they sold a lot of T-shirts and die-cast.
I can only imagine.
And all that stuff with it. And it was a really cool thing to kind of pay respect to to his dad and one of his schemes that he had used in the past when he won. I think that year he won the Prairie Dirt Classic with that paint scheme. So yeah, it was a really cool deal.
Yeah, and so that's the thing with Bobby is you look back through his not super long but very well put on whole span of dirt late model racing, and the schemes that he has had throughout the years, like when he did the whole Friday the 13th series, those cars were really cool. And then when he goes on to the Gateway Dirt Nationals and he does his little Christmas schemes of different sorts and whatnot.
Yeah,
I mean,
he and his team have really leaned into that whole deal. I think that they've kind of realized that it's a good way for them to do something cool, but I kind of think there's probably some monetary benefit.
I would say there's a little bit.
Too,
I would say there's a little, and that's the thing.
Kudos to them, though.
Very smart marketing on their part. I know his Abby, his significant other, she does a ton of the social media stuff now, and she has kind of taken over social media by storm with the different things that she's doing on there and whatnot. So it's really interesting to see that side now becoming such a big part in dirt racing is social media. Who would have thought we got to the point where there's dirt racers out there all over the U.S. where that's their job is to do content, and it pays for them to go racing. Kyle, I'm sure you're going to be the next one of those 100% for sure.
The guy without social media is done.
The guy without social media is going to
content master. That's right.
It could happen. You never know.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's just it's amazing, and I don't think it's just racing, right? I think that's
it's all
everything
over.
in the world is kind of that way today.
So. Right.
Well,
so,
look at even the Knoxville Nationals. The guys unveil cool national schemes. They got their T-shirt trailers, the die cut, just like you mentioned.
Yep. It's no doubt.
It's crazy.
It's
really crazy.
Yeah, it's a great thing for those teams that do it. I think it's a really cool thing.
It is. So, I mean, not necessarily a shocker by all means. He wins a lot of these events, it seems. Taking out the car that he has won with the last few years, gets into the outside wall a little bit, damages the car, did not look great in his heat race, was going to pull the backup car out. I believe they did pull the backup car out.
Wednesday night they pulled the backup car out for the flow race.
Hated it.
And just didn't.
It did not drive well.
Yeah, when you're mired that far back, right? I mean, it's tough to go, especially in a 30 or 50 lap race. Now they fixed the car and then did really well in his qualifying stuff and was primed super well for Saturday night and started 13th.
Yeah.
And it didn't take him 30-ish laps or so, 40 laps maybe, to knife through the field and get into the lead. And once Jonathan Davenport was in the lead,
Superman put on a super clinic.
There wasn't much going on for the race lead, but there was plenty happening behind him.
There was a lot going on behind him. So for me, I think what I find crazy about all this is the only chassis that he could get to work well is a car that exceeds all expectations there each year, and how they have had that car that runs there to always perform to a winning level. to me is pretty nuts. I mean,
yeah, I think it's cool. I don't know if that's the only car they could get. Who knows how much time they had to fine tune the backup car before the feature and put it on the track once. I don't know that that's a fair comparison, but you're exactly right. For the last 5 or 6 years now, he's basically changed engines, and freshened up some components, and continued to just kick butt with the same thing.
Yeah. So. I saw that car win $1 million, and to then keep going back and doing the same thing. The hats off to the 49 team. I mean,
kudos to them and to Jonathan for putting the car where it needs to go, because he the cars don't drive themselves.
And you want to talk about a humble man that really does not say a whole lot either. He is pretty darn quiet, and you see him. And I feel like sometimes when you look at some of these drivers, you see the ones where it's about the publicity and I'm this and whatnot. But then you see the ones, and when I look at Jonathan, I almost see like little thought bubbles with like different algorithms and stuff. And he's not one that says a whole lot, because he's like, need to do this, or need to do that, want to do this. Here's the temperature's like this, the track's doing this, we need to do this and this and this. And it's crazy to see how some of these guys think and everything that goes through their head to be able to compete at that level and win races like this is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
and
it's pretty impressive, really.
It is. And you've had experience on pavement too, and that's really hard to do, and that's a whole nother
I mean that's a whole other realm, and you're exactly right, and that's one cool thing I always like about Jonathan Davenport. He started out as a pavement guy, and then switched over to the dirt stuff, and quite frankly is probably one of the, my opinion, the top 8 or 10 guys to ever do it, and especially here recently, especially at Eldora. So sure. Other stuff going on behind him. We had Bobby Pierce about midway come in and need to change rear tires. Went back to the back of the pack and drove all the way back up to second. So he passed. So Jonathan Davenport passed 12 cars. Bobby Pierce passed 8 or 9 to get up there, and then another 25 or so to come back through the field. So he passed 30 some cars. In third was Nick Hoffman, who at one point was a lap down.
He was.
Got the lucky dog on an early yellow, got his lap back, and raced all the way back up to third. Originally started 20th, so he passed 17 cars. And then the other impressive run that I thought...
The guy that I picked to win last week.
Fire away.
Tim McCready.
He was fourth, but he came from seventh, so that was a great run, but it wasn't maybe nearly as impressive as the guy behind him that came from 24th to finish fifth, and that was Devin Moran.
And that's who your son had originally picked.
I think
he
originally
backed out.
Is that the way it went? Okay, I thought maybe he picked Davenport and you gave him a hard time about that, and then he said, okay, maybe Bobby Pierce.
At one
maybe
point
vice versa.
At one point, he picked Moran.
Yeah, if you pick those 4 or 5 guys,
there's gonna be some magic.
Pretty darn good shot at. But I guess at the end of the day, for me, watching that race, or I guess watching the highlights later, I just thought that it really showed the ability, especially in the longer races, for there to be such a high level of passing, which, as a fan, is what I think is important in racing.
I think
you didn't. I know Mike Marlar was mad earlier in the week because he got tangled up in a heat race because of an invert, and it's like, man, I get that, but at the same time,
it needs to happen.
Yeah, I think it does, and other series kind of get some let's say criticism for their cars not being able to pass, maybe the ones with the wings on top, but in general I think that it's safe to say, especially at Eldora, man, there's a lot of passing.
It is a magical place.
Yeah,
it is such a magical place for late models, and I think that's the biggest thing is these inverts and things happen for a reason, and I don't want to say it's purely for entertainment, because it's not, but if you have these guys and they don't invert, and instead it's just like, okay, qualifying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, okay, that's how we're going out here for a heat race. Well, 9 times out of 10 it's probably going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 9 and 7 swap or whatever. But it's the best way of doing things to make it exciting and for these guys to show that they're a driver. I mean, that's the thing. You gotta have your hands on the wheel and your foot on the throttle. And
and I think you're right. The where I think that gets tricky is depending on how the track's prepared.
True. That is
the track is
true.
wide open and everybody's just steering out there, then all of a sudden the invert is in my opinion a bad thing.
Right.
So but we can go back and forth. All in all, I think it was just an unbelievable show. I think that it lived up to the hype. It lived up to the pre-race excitement, and as Eldora does so many times, they delivered.
They do, and it's such a great place, and I'm glad to see some changes they've made to the track. I know when we went out there for the Million, they had brought some new dirt in. A lot of issues.
Ended up scraping it all off before they actually ran the Million.
Scraped it all off before they ran the Million. And I tell you what, there were potholes that I could fit in, and I would look tiny in them. I would say that that 1 and 2 was a very rough track. I have some fantastic videos of cars going through potholes, and you see them fully get off the ground, and about 10 feet later, they land.
Yeah.
So, I mean... But
very wild set of
it was a very wild race. I thought that Monster Jam was going to donate a bunch of shocks to those guys at one point, but
get your ranchos on.
Yes, absolutely. But no, I mean it's a great facility, a great drivers, and the dirt late models were there, and they put on a show.
Yeah,
and
they
true
delivered.
Eldora fashion.
Right.
It always it seems to. I kind of wish they'd bring the Prelude back.
I think that'd be kind of cool. I don't know.
What do you think,
that
Kyle? Prelude?
Like with the cup drivers and all that?
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the cup drivers...
You'd have to be pretty selective. There's a lot of cup guys that are there because of the checks that they write.
Correct.
Or their relationship with the sponsor that writes a check. So I don't know that you have necessarily the same talent that you had in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
True. I think some of them would be
Poor
quite
Bill
good,
Elliott got upside down about every time, didn't he?
Yeah, that's true. He did.
Yeah.
Maybe not his favorite thing.
Not his
But real
favorite
quick,
thing.
to piggyback on that, though, you see guys like Ty Gibbs come in. He runs high limit. Now, again,
Gets
this is a
upside
sprint car,
down
which
in
is
his heat
different.
race.
But he made the feature.
Did very impressive.
The
first
two
two times.
Yeah.
First
Out
3
you're
times.
talking about in Vegas?
Well, Vegas, and then he went
Vegas,
to...
he got upside down.
Well, yeah, and then Texas.
Yeah.
He made it into... I mean, impressive.
Raced his way in.
Yeah. So
no, I'm with you. I was very impressed with him.
But yeah, so anyway, we got some great racing action coming up again tomorrow night at the Southern Iowa Speedway. It's bike night, bike giveaway night. A lot of great bikes are going to be there. Thursday at Eldon Speedway, another half-mile track, a great little one. Head on down to Eldon. And then Friday you have Marshalltown, Columbus Junction, some great tracks there. Saturday you'll have Knoxville and some other things going on. And after this is over, if you want to go in and tune in on Flow Racing, you can catch the rest of the High Limit Series at the Eagle Raceway. And I am definitely going to go home after this and try to catch that race. It's going to be a good one.
No doubt. That track produces some pretty exciting racing. I know the late models put on a wonderful race when they were there earlier with the Lucas Oil Series.
Yeah.
So hopefully the sprint cars can do the same.
I think they will. So anyway, this was Curtis VanderWahl. That's Kyle Harwood. I'm Saif Grafke, and we'll catch you next Tuesday night right here at the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch.